Then we go into episode 3, which
wild roller coaster.
Which it took us off the path, off the story. It was not in the game.
No.
This
Bill was a completely different character.
Bill and Frank, at the end of the time we see them on the Last of Us video game,
they hated each other.
Frank is dead. Dead completely. Hung himself after multiple bites. Bill finds him, calls him an asshole and a dickhead for wearing the shirt he's wearing. They had no love between them. It was love lost.
At the end.
Love lost, and it seems like it was lost pretty fast. In this version, because
if you read
the
their
suicide
letters,
note that he left, it was different.
Yeah, absolutely different. But in the game, at least, when you read Frank's note, it's about how much he hated Bill. Like, I don't remember the exact words, but they didn't.
No,
like each other.
it was. I watched a YouTube short about it,
recently?
and he was like violating Bill.
Yeah,
he was like, "You're a piece of shit."
Yeah, it was really
You
hateful,
never loved me. Like, you're the worst human I've ever met. And that's saying a lot. And that's saying a lot about humanity at that point, right? Because it's been 20 years into like the zombie apocalypse, and he tells him he's the worst person on this planet.
So much so that he left the comfort of like the
security and safety
and got bit just because he didn't want to spend time with Bill. That's insane.
And then hangs himself somewhere that he knew he would find it, and he knew he would find the note.
Yep.
And Ellie reads it. And as the player, we get to hear about it and read it as well. But episode 3, these are my raw reactions to it, and I wrote them down as soon as like I watched episode 3. Okay. I said, The Last of Us episode 3 generally made me want to off myself. Currently now, I don't ever want to grow that old and love someone so much I wouldn't be able to handle losing them. It was a beautiful, touching connection that seeing them struggle to do things to see them struggle to do things they were doing 5 minutes ago really drove me to a point that time changes people, but we can never change how time is.
Yeah.
And I was like, that fucking sucks, because that whole episode, it was... We were
but you wouldn't want that type of love?
We were watching that story, but I couldn't... I would do what Bill did. I would... If my partner was old enough...
I
don't want to talk about that too soon, but I was like, if I ever felt that in love and had that kind of connection, especially with the circumstances of how the world is. Yeah. We can say the world is pretty shitty right now, how it is right now. Yeah. It's not shitty as in there's fucking a threat of zombies everywhere right now, but there are certain things in this world that we can't control. We never could control. Yeah. It's out of our power to do things. We can only live our life how we need to. But I was like, damn, especially under those circumstances, these two people found each other with, not in the best way. Like, Bill is a survivalist.
Yes, a survivalist, and he doesn't believe
doomsday prepper. Doesn't trust the government. Doesn't trust people.
Well, which by the way, in that world, paid off. It paid off.
It paid off very well. He had his whole neighborhood that he lived in to himself.
As they all got like shipped off to get killed. Yeah, they weren't even rescued. In the bunker.
They were executed.
Yeah, because they didn't have enough space.
And we see the confirmation later on as we kind of jump back to Jelly.
Joe and Ellie.
Joe and Ellie's perspective, where you
see like a pile of dead bodies.
A pile of dead bodies with a blanket, and we saw that scene earlier.
Yeah, with the baby.
With the baby in that same blanket.
So
he was right in not trusting anybody.
For sure.
And just seeing them, like, literally when I say they were doing stuff that they were doing 5 minutes earlier, but meanwhile we got a time skip of like 10 years or something, and they've aged quite drastically.
While I was watching the episode, I was like, they can't make Bill this old. He wasn't this old in the game. Like, while I was watching it, I was like, if you make him this old, he can't help them. He'll be an old, decrepit man. I was watching it, but then the reveal, like, oh, no, he's not even alive. I was like,
he's dead. He's dead.
Yeah.
There's a scene in this beautiful story, and we're not going to do it justice at all. No, if you don't care about The Last of Us, you can watch episode 3 and as a standalone thing. It's a
standalone. Wow. Fuck cops.
Whoa. They're going to serve and protect us. Okay, you can watch episode 3 as its own standalone thing. You could just ignore the stuff about the man and the child walking around. You could literally watch that as its own standalone thing. Yeah. Nick Offerman plays Bill. Great casting. I don't know who plays Frank, but he was pretty good at it too.
Really good, yeah.
But just the story that it tells about, kind of like
a beautiful love story, and it's one that even the characters, the director said, is that this is the one moment in this show that you can feel good about the love. Because a lot of the other times that they're depicting love, it's very violent. It's very ugly, right? Because love can bring you to do such beautiful things, but also to do such very, very
Their
ugly
love
things.
was ugly too.
At times, yeah.
They
would fight.
They had the regular spouts as you would have in a relationship, but
they were still they loved each other very much.
Frank fought for it.
Yes.
And it made Bill fight for it.
Yeah.
And it made Bill notice, like, okay, I hear you.
Yeah.
I've never done this before. I've never been in a relationship. I was a fucking doomsday prepper. Like, I didn't get no bitches.
Yeah.
And he's like,
I've been with one woman before, but it was very clear.
He didn't like it.
He said that he was very clear that, like, he didn't. Like, even to Frank. Frank saw, well, you knew him for, like, what, 20 minutes or something? He was like, you like men, bro.
You fruity.
Just like, he like, you fruity just like me. I know it.
He's like, you just like me for real. So we see in the beginning stage of the relationship, Frank reaches out to a woman that he did not know who it was. Tess
on a radio,
and they start communicating like it's
back and forth.
like it's the good old days before the phone and shit. So like a little bit before that, right? They're like on the radio talking, like a CV radio. And he eventually invites them to his settlement,
to their safe haven,
to the safety
where like there's Oh, by the way, we never even brought that up. So Bill, since he is a doomsday prepper, he like set up his whole town to have traps, have reusable energy, have water. He has like cuts of meat in like a thing. So like he literally is living lavishly in this town by himself before Frank comes in.
And that's why he didn't get infected either, because he didn't really eat shit like bread. He was like, I'm eating like meat. Yeah, meat and potatoes. He was that guy.
So so when
we see Frank, he gets trapped in one of those, the non-lethal
trap where he has to come out and kill whatever drops in there. So once they've become a couple, after they had this beautiful moment between the two of them and a piano, and then
they get a sex scene that lasts a little too long.
It does last a little too long, but it's whatever.
I was like, are they gonna like fuck? Like, if you, like it was like the bit before porn. Skip.
I'm like, it was like that awkward energy. You're like, can y'all just fucking get it over with? Because I'm uncomfortable with y'all. But yeah, so
I'm like, I haven't done this either too.
After that part when they're like more and they jump cut, they're like they're more of a couple now. They're like actually together, and so Frank is now like, listen, I understand we have all of this, but dude, there's more to life than just surviving between me and you. We could have outside friends. We can make life beautiful again. We don't have to just be us two. And he's like, no,
in that
I don't want friends. Yeah,
Bill did not care about the building surrounding his house.
And
Frank is like, I want to make the shit look good. I don't care if it's just me and you, but like, let's treat our home with love. Like,
exactly.
It's not like your home anymore. It's not my home. It's our home. And if we just painted it a little,
made it look like it is in an apocalypse, it'd be great.
Like
our mood wouldn't be so shit. So he then starts communicating with Tess, like Nando said earlier. And Bill's against it. He's like, no, why are you bringing in people? Because like
we don't know them.
The last time people came over, there's raiders. You don't understand. Like people can come here and like take everything from us. And he's like, no, like trust me. Like if you trust me enough and love me enough, like trust me that these people are good people. And he invites them over to his like little sanctuary. They have dinner.
They have like brunch.
Yeah,
it was like the middle of the day. They had like a little some mimosas. They were drinking wine.
And then like Joe and
the
Bill
wives
having like
were getting along. And then
Bill and Joe were
like
like
just staring at each other.
Yeah, staring hard dog. And
Nick Offerman
has
the
a gun
on the table.
And then they walk away. And
Pedro Pascal's like, yo, point that shit somewhere else.
Exactly. Once the girls walk away, he's like, if you don't move that gun, bro, like stop pointing it at me. It's like, and then he's like, you know what? I'm afraid of you, bro. You're right.
He's like, I'm not afraid, but like, I respect that you called me out on this. And this is the key moment that happens between them. So they acknowledge that, like, that without both, saying that they're protectors.
Capable,
and they're capable of handling things in this world, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And then Joel, Pedro Pascal, says something that leaves Nick Offerman, Bill, like a little like afraid. He's like, your fence is starting to fuck up. It's starting to corrode. I can get you 10 spools of the best fucking steel
aluminum
or whatever.
He said,
I get you 10 spools of that. That'll last you your whole life.
He's like, and this is the deal. You can get me what you have, right? The food, the guns, all the stuff that you have in this community, and I'll get you stuff that you can't get.
So he ends that sentence like it could last you your whole life. Oh, I'm sorry, your whole lives.
Yeah.
And then he throws Frank in there
because he knows that he's a protector now.
He's a protector and he wants to protect Frank. And then Bill's like, I don't fucking like you, but I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then that opens up
the relationship
between the two duos.
Yeah. And then as they're walking out, Joel says, listen, if you ever need help, call me. Like, there's gonna be people that want what you have. Like, look how beautiful this is, right? And if you come in
and take it by force,
exactly,
and they're not gonna want to share.
And literally, that happens in like
the next scene. And that's like, where I want to lead into. There's
like another time skip.
We get a time skip, and Frank is sleeping.
Yeah,
like the princess he is. He deserves to sleep.
Yeah,
and then all you hear is shots, gunfire,
explosions.
Yeah. What Joel has said has come true. Yeah. And it's not that he jinxed it or anything like that. That's just the nature of the people living in this world.
In a world where it's kill or be killed. It's like limited. Survival, yeah.
What the fuck? The zombie apocalypse is happening.
Bro, we cannot catch a break today, bro. Fuck.
I'm keeping all that in. I think it'll be funny. What does that siren do?
It's literally a fire alarm. So whenever there's a fire around.
Meanwhile, the window is closed.
Yeah, and they go to whatever they're going to. So
okay, so again, we said it's killed or be killed.
Yes.
Limited resources. Yes.
So people do crazy stuff.
People are desperate.
Yeah, people are desperate.
Everybody.
I would, if I saw a community that looked that well, I'd be like, yo, why don't we jump this person and take all his shit?
Everybody is the savior in their own eyes in this universe, and Bill is defending the community. The gates have this mechanism that sets people on fire. It's pretty dope scene. People are like literally getting their legs broken in the process, and then Bill gets shot
because he was standing in the middle of the street like an idiot.
I feel like it was a straight bullet. It wasn't even like meant to hit him, and I think that makes the scene a little bit more impactful because he is standing in the middle of the road, not really where.
Someone who's trained with a gunshot.
If you're getting set on fire and shit, and like you're watching people like get set on fire next to you, you're not really aiming at Bill. Bill is getting free shots in. Like people are more worried about the immediate threat of what's happening to themselves.
Okay.
And so I think he got hit with a stray bullet, and that's what made the shit even a little bit scarier because everybody was being handled by these traps. Literally, no one survives the attack because of those traps.
Yeah.
And because Bill was sniping a few people.
And then what's his name comes out too? Frank
comes out with this little ass fucking baby gun. Like he wasn't doing shit with that thing. That shit was meant for last resort's close quarter combat. Let's be real with that. He's not sniping nobody.
That's Ellie's gun now.
With that fucking little baby gun. She's not sniping anybody. She hasn't sniped anyone. Like exactly. She's again. She hasn't even. No, she has hit somebody. It's for close quarters, last resort, defend yourself, and that's why we're gonna go fast forward a little bit. That's why Joel eventually ends up giving it to her. He's like, "You saved me in this little close quarter combat. Here, take this for those reasons." He doesn't outright say it, but he's like, I need you to be protecting yourself too, in case I can't. Right?
Yeah.
So let's go back to that. He's out there with a little fucking water gun, and he brings back in Bill, and he tells him Bill is like trying to be distracted, like so he doesn't bleed out too much. And as Frank is saving him, he's like, "All right, I left a note of things that you need to remember, things you need to do." Joel. And he's like, "All right, tell me about this stuff." He's like, "All right, you need to get on the radio. You got to call Joel. He'll come. He'll protect you." Yeah. Like. He was so worried that he was gonna die
and wouldn't be able to protect
that moment.
Yeah,
and he's like, "You need to call Joel. You need, like that's one of the first important things he says." Frank asked him about what's on this list. Yeah, clearly he had a list that you need to turn this off when you do this shit like that, right? But he's like, he eventually goes out to you need to call Joel. Call Joel, get him over here.
He'll take care of everything.
He'll take care of you.
Yeah,
and then we get that time skip.
Yeah, again,
there's a person in a wheelchair, and we're like, "Fuck."
It's
Bill in the wheelchair. He got fucked that night
because of the bullet.
And then that's what we're thinking. Out to be Frank.
And Bill is perfectly fine. He got that bullet out.
He got the meat and potato body.
He's fine, bro.
He's Gucci.
But Frank is now
Frank has like some kind of like
it's ALS? Cancer. No, it's cancer.
One of those. I don't know.
Because the way he describes it is that even in the real world there was no cure, that it would have killed him even if the zombie apocalypse wasn't happening.
I think there's no cure for ALS even with medicine.
But you can treat it, right?
I think cancer with right now you can treat.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You'll just have it.
Whatever it was, he was slowly dying.
He was dead. And he had dead to rights.
Yeah, and he said that his life just became difficult. Like he wasn't living, he was surviving, and he was like, "This is my last." Like he wakes up and he tells his husband like, "This is my last day, dude."
And he does something that Bill doesn't want him to do. So Bill takes him to the bed the night before.
Yeah.
He helps him get into bed.
Yeah.
And then he usually gets him out and puts him back in his chair.
He got himself out.
But he got himself out, and he says, "This took me like 6 hours to do."
And he sat there for mad long, just waiting for his husband to wake up. And that's then so like you're saying, so when he wakes up, he tells him like, "Hey, listen, like this is it. This is my last day, and whether you like it or not, I'm gonna end it." So
he's like, "This is my last day. We can end it fighting, or you can give me the best day of my life."
Yeah, and that's really sweet.
I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah, that shit hit me too. I was like, "Oh."
I paused it and I was like, talking to my sister, I was like, "Fuck, I can't even see the show anymore." Like, it's all fucking blurry. She was like, "Me too," and I was like, "So we need like fucking 2 minutes to like fix ourselves, like get it together."
And so that's what he does.
And they have the cutest wedding.
The cutest little day.
He takes him like shopping.
Yeah,
for, like,
he gives him a tux. They each get a tux. They like marry each other. They cook the dinner that he cooked them originally when they first got there. He cooks it for him again.
He remembered after 20 years.
And then he tells him, he's like, "Listen, you get the best wine you have. You take these pills. You crush them up. Put them in my glass. And you just lay me to sleep. Let me die in your arms." Mm-hmm. Right. And then Bill's like, you can't like expect me to do that. He's like, "If you love me, you would." And that's what convinces him. He's like, I do love you.
And I will do this.
And I will.
But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this for us.
Exactly. And we don't even, I had a glimpse of it, but I had a glimpse of like, I think he's going to kill himself. And then when we get to that dinner table, right, he's talking about it and he's like, just to let you know, like the whole bottle was.
I put enough pills in the bottle to kill a fucking horse.
It's to kill both of us. Like we're both drinking it. I just double dosed you, if anything, because he pours the little thing
for show. It's pretty much
cup.
For show.
Yeah,
it's like, here, this is what you wanted.
Yeah,
but what also, I want is to be with you.
Yeah.
As well. I don't want to live alone.
So exactly. What's the line was so beautiful. I'm trying to remember it. He's like, I'm old. I've lived enough, and like something like that. And he's like, and. I'm happy. Good. Like I'm happy.
I'm happy with my life. Yeah. Like how it turned out.
Like, and if you leave, I'm just gonna be sad. There's nothing for me to be here anymore. Yeah. So I'm okay to die. And then Frank is like, I don't know whether to be angry at you or to be happy with you. Like that is.
Or was that romantic? Or was that
like,
stupid?
Yeah, like he's like that's one of the most romantic things someone's ever done to me. But I'm also like
I don't know how, you did that. Like you need to live.
Yeah,
and he's like, I don't want to live without you.
It's so beautiful. Like they sit there, they drink, and then they just go upstairs and cuddle, and they just pass away together. And then we jump back to like Joe and Ellie finally going
after we fucking saw the whole life,
the most like traumatic experience. You're like sitting there crying for what just happened. You're like, bro, what?
Like I forgot the show was about these guys.
And then we jump back to like Joe and Ellie arriving at Bill's house, and Joe's like, "Where is everybody?" Like he's like yelling, "Bill, Frank," trying to find it. Then he goes to the bedroom, and the bedroom is locked, and he's like trying to budge it open. And then Eddie's like, "Joe, I found the letter," and because
Joel tells her, "Stay downstairs. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's upstairs." Mm-hmm. And she finds the letter.
She finds the gun, right? Or
no, she finds the letter first,
and then the gun.
She reads the letter to Joel because Joel doesn't want to read it.
Oh.
And at the end of that letter, Bill's like, "Hey, I never really liked you, but you and me." There's two kinds of people in this world. There's people like you and me who are protectors, who are meant to take care of people, of our partners, whatever. Mm-hmm. He's like, and make sure you take care of Tess. And Ellie reads that, and then Joel is like gut punched at that point because he's like,
she passed away.
I failed that. Yeah. I failed protecting
my daughter. I failed protecting my partner.
My partner.
Yeah.
And it hurts him to the core. Yep. And at this point,
shuts off.
Ellie wants to talk about it. She's like, "Hey, we should talk about this." Like, because she's like, "I don't want you to be cold. I don't want you to be sad. I don't want you." Again, it ultimately leads to like, I don't want you to be compromised in a way where like I am possibly in danger too.
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey, I need you to be okay. I want you to be okay because I see you as my protector. And I want you to be able to protect me." And so he takes the letter out. He's reading it in the front yard. He crumbles it up. And then he goes back inside. He tells Ellie, he's like, "Hey, they've got clothes and stuff. Let's change our clothes.
Let's take a shower.
We get to take a shower.
Get some supplies."
Joe gets the iconic shirt that he wears. Ellie gets the iconic red shirt that she wears. And as she's changing, because clearly Joel can't fucking be there while she's doing that, and that's where she finds Frank's gun.
Yeah, Frank's little water gun.
And so she takes the water gun.
It's not actually a water gun, by the way, if no one caught on.
It's a tiny fucking baby gun.
It's like it's a real gun. It's
a real gun. It can still kill you.
It's just small, yeah.
But it's tiny. And so she puts it in her pack. They go downstairs.
Which, by the way, this whole time she's been asking for a weapon, and Joe kept saying no. Joe and Tess kept saying no.
Part of Joe wants him.
Because even when they got there and they found the wall of weapons, she asked.
She's like, "Hey, can I have one of these?" And he's like, "No."
So then when she finds this one, like the baby gun in like a drawer, she just immediately hides it. She's like,
"This is my shit." And then Joel walks in and it almost catches her.
Yeah.
There's people who think that he might have saw that and he just let it slide anyway. He's like, "Fuck it."
No, I don't think he saw it
because
he was surprised when
he
was surprised when she shot the guy like the next episode, and then he takes it from her. He's like,
he's
and then he
less surprised. He's more of like, I didn't want you to do that.
Yeah,
you're a child. You shouldn't have to do this. Mm-hmm. So then they go on their merry way. Instead of going to Pittsburgh,